Season 2, Episode 4 starts, and now all of the characters are at the farm together, and they won't be leaving anytime soon. They take a moment to have a small funeral for Otis, and unaware that Shane secretly killed him, Otis's wife asks that he gives a speech to commemorate his death.
I need to know his death had meaning.
Dale and T-Dog go to fill up some water from one of the wells, and it turns out there's a zombie in it. Wait, what? I thought this whole place had a fence to keep out the zombies. How long has it been there? Well, at least now the characters have something to do.
Gotta get it out. Easy. Put a bullet in its head.
Whoa, whoa, guys. No.
Why not?
It's a stupid plan. If that thing hasn't contaminated the water yet, blowing its brains out will finish the job.
What?
She's right. Get risky.
What? Really? We can't shoot it because it'll infect the water. Do any of you seriously believe that it's not already infected? Are you seriously implying that if you can get it out of the well without shooting it, then the water's perfectly fine? Really? It's been bathing and bleeding and possibly shitting in there for you don't even know how long. And you're saying that the only reason you can't shoot it right now is because you're worried it will contaminate the well even further. And everybody seems to unanimously agree with this argument.
He's not going for it.
We need live bait.
Ah! It's over. It's over. It's not getting any better. This show's done. It's ruined. It's gone. There's no saving it. This is the most retarded scene of all time. This is the most legitimate reason you could ever have for leaving the show entirely. Let's just rappel the Asian kid down. Nothing could possibly go wrong. I mean, we all recognize that there's a bit of danger, but we pretty much have to do it because there's no way that we can kill the zombie. That would infect the well. Really? You're not gonna say anything, Dale? Fucking Dale, the voice of reason. You know, there's a certain amount that you can just chalk up to characters being stupid, especially in a fucking zombie show, but this is seriously crossing the line. This is no longer set on planet Earth. There is no group of people on this fucking planet that would do this. We are now on a different planet where everyone's brains have been replaced by mashed potatoes. That would actually make more sense. Yes, this is a perfectly normal and logical thing to do, and despite there being an amount of risk, it is well worth the payoff of not infecting the fucking well. Oops! Quick, let's get him back up by pulling on this rope really fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arm lengths, and this is the speed that you're moving. What if Glenn died? Glenn was a kind fellow, and through his extremely preventable death, he will always be remembered as someone who treated people very well. Well, at least he got the rope on the zombie, somehow. Just fucking magically. And it looks like you've also finally figured out to attach the rope to its body and not its fucking neck to hoist it up, because it seems as though that wasn't the original plan. Come to think of it, why did you guys even make a head-sized loop to begin with? Why didn't they just make a lasso big enough to loop his whole body and then throw it down? It seems a lot more rational than sending down a fucking person. Whatever, they're pulling him up now. God damn it, Lori, there's already one person guiding the horse. And just look at that horse's relaxed posture. You two are literally not helping at all. Oh no, now the well's infected. Only now can we not drink any of the water from the well. I wonder why this completely illogical, out of character, and out of place scene took place. Oh right, without this scene, there would literally be no zombies in the entire fucking episode. Looks like we filled the quota for today. Andrea still knows dick all about how to shoot a gun, so Shane decides he's gonna help her with that.
Easy to hit what ain't moving, but taking down an assailant, one that's trying to kill you is different.
Yes, it's very difficult. Daryl spends the entire episode looking for Sophia and finding nothing but a flower. And Glenn and Maggie go to a pharmacy in town to get supplies. Who's cutting the grass? It's a zombie apocalypse and all the grass is cut. They then decide to have sex just because.
Her and Glenn have this similar trajectory of, I'm gonna do it, I don't know if it's the best thing to do, and there's like a naivety and a courage all mixed together.
I'll have sex with you.
And at the end of the episode, we're left with a little bit of a cliffhanger. Oh no, pregnancy.
How do you give birth in a world like this? How do you take care of a child, a baby, an infant in a world like this.
Next up is episode 5 titled Chupacabra, or as I like to call it, people get mildly irritated with each other while Daryl has a bad day. And God, is this a filler episode if I've ever seen one? Why would we progress the story when we could just have pairs of people arguing at each other? Hey, I know we just had sex, but I'm gonna be mad at you now for no reason, because that's what women do. We're wasting our time looking for this little girl. My opinion on the subject is completely different in contrast to yours. Oh my God, you're totally pregnant. Don't tell anyone I'm totally pregnant. Shane told me we're wasting time looking for this little girl, but my opinion on the subject is completely different in contrast to his. Well, that's okay, because I validate your own opinions. One of your people took one of my horses. I thought you already knew about that. No, I actually didn't. We should work on our communication. Okay, I'm going to leave without explaining why I even came up to you in the first place. Lori and Carol are cooking dinner for us tonight. I am mildly upset that no one checked with me before making those plans. I thought you already knew about that. No, I actually didn't. We should work on our communication. Okay, Maggie and I had sex earlier, but now she's mad at me for no reason, because that's what women do. I am mildly upset at you because Maggie is Herschel's daughter and Herschel is our host. Is anybody really gonna call this character development? Great, everybody gets mildly irritated at each other when they're in groups of 2. I learned so much about these characters. That's really fleshing them out. Without this episode, I never would have known that Lori wanted to keep her pregnancy a secret. I just thought that she took her pregnancy test alone in the last episode because she was shy. Wow, Rick is on the moral high ground and wants to keep searching for Sophia. I never would have known that. I'm learning so much about these characters. Me like you, but now me no like you. Me American media's depiction of woman. Me on period now, so me cause conflict with no require rational explanation. It sure is a convenient writing tool to have female cast members. Need some instant character conflict? Let's just have all the women be super irrational.
She's just a young woman and she's vulnerable and...
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Would Frank have really done a better job had he still been on the show? Well, there certainly wouldn't have been as much dicking around on the farm and doing nothing. Frank had mentioned he had plans to veer away from the comic book source material and come back to it. And before the budget cuts, he had plans to do a prequel episode featuring Dale, Amy, and Andrea on the wake of the outbreak. And I, for one, think it would have been cool to experience why these characters have such a bond throughout the rest of the show. In fact, you could say it would have made for some really interesting character development.
And there are dozens and dozens of amazing ideas just like that are now gone. He's like, look, you know, I think it'd be really cool to tell a prequel story about how Atlanta fell. You Black Hawk Down, built with zombies. And your character will go through and you're a soldier and all these horrible things happen and the chain of command breaks down and eventually you have to take out your superior officer to save a bunch of people, and then eventually in the end you get bit. And then you're crawling, and he's pitching me this, and then you're crawling, blah, blah, and you crawl into a tank and you have this grenade and you're gonna blow yourself up, and then you're like, you know what, you set the grenade next to you and then you die. And then we reprise the scene from the pilot where Rick crawls in the tank and there's a zombie there, and if you look closely, I played that zombie because we were setting up this prequel that we were gonna do. And then he gets that grenade which saves them at the end of the season. Well, we're gonna tell the history of that grenade. We're gonna tell also how another character who was being introduced in the second season, how he comes to a certain thing. We're gonna do all this cool stuff. Not doing it now, you know, not happening. Why? Because AMC wanted to save a few bucks.
Thanks, AMC! Is it even really debatable to say that what Frank Darabont had planned for Season 2 was at least better than what this guy came up with? When Frank was in charge, the story didn't follow the comic book in the exact same way, but ultimately, the reason why The Walking Dead Season 1 was 6 episodes long is because Volume 1 of the comic book is 6 issues long. He added enough content to turn a single comic book issue into a TV episode, and they both wind up getting to about the same place by the end of it. Now, we all know that virtually the entirety of Season 2 takes place dicking around on Herschel's farm. They find it on episode 2 and leave on episode 13. So what, did they seriously stretch out 6 comic book issues into 12 episodes? Nope, it's even worse than that. The characters find the farm in issue 10 and leave in issue 12. So the source material is literally being stretched out 4 times as much as it was in Season 1. Yeah, sure, there were some added ideas in Season 2 that weren't in the comic book, mostly plot devices to keep them from leaving the fucking farm. But does it not feel like the entirety of season 2 could have been accomplished in about 3 or 4 episodes. Like, how many times do you have to repeat the same shit over and over? This entire episode could have not existed and nothing would be any different. There's not a single thing we learned about any of the characters in this episode that is not addressed in any of the other episodes. But wait, if this episode is filled with nothing but people arguing with each other, then how did they fill the zombie appearance quota? Oh, that's right, Daryl. He continues looking for Sophia by himself, and a snake startles his horse and he falls down a cliff and accidentally stabs himself with one of his arrows. He ties up the wound and tries to climb back up, but then falls back down again. He then gets visited by a hallucination of his brother that insults him for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Hey, that's not my brother gnawing on my foot, that's a zombie. What type of person could honestly watch that and not understand how horribly convenient it is? What, so the zombies that have been established with a super smell for blood are trying to gnaw through his foot right now and not his open wound? Their fingers can tear through a horse, but their teeth cannot tear through a boot? Whatever, just don't think about it, man. He had such a close call. It's a good thing the zombie was gnawing on his shoe. He's so hardcore, he rips out his arrow and fires it at the other zombie just in time. His hallucination brother shows up and insults him again, and apparently it was the right kind of motivation to finally get him to the top. Having been injured and losing a lot of blood, he makes it back to the farm, but also kind of conveniently looks like a zombie to everybody else. Andrea decides she really wants to shoot the zombie to prove to everybody how capable she is, and everyone's like, no, don't do it. And at first it seems as though they don't want her to shoot because it'll attract zombies with the noise, but nobody says that, and Rick brings a gun so that he can kill it up close. Why didn't they just let her have a bit of target practice? Seriously, Shane, you were giving her lessons before. Why do you want to steal this kill from her?
You best let us handle this.
Characters not making any sense so that a predetermined sequence of events can follow? I've never heard of such a thing. The 4 characters go up and realize that it's Daryl and decide not to kill him. And it's really funny how they're lined up in such a way that Andrea could still shoot Daryl without hitting anybody else. Like, didn't you just all come from where Andrea is right now? Why the fuck were you running from that direction? Oh, that's right. If they were in Andrea's field of vision, then she might not accidentally shoot him. Ugh. Which is also kind of not a fucking excuse at all if you think about it. They just told you they were going up to the zombie to kill them. You don't think that you should maybe not shoot? Do you think you're gonna impress them more by putting their lives in danger? Is this the Hunger Games?
I've been so determined to get it right. I've been so shamed that I got it wrong by shooting Daryl.
Well, congratulations, you accidentally shot Daryl. Man, it's such a good writing tool to have female characters. They can just act irrationally whenever. It doesn't have to make sense. And best of all, it didn't actually affect him in any way.
Unconscious. He just grazed him.
Her bullet managed to graze the skin on his temple and knock him out, meaning that by the beginning of the next episode, it'll be like nothing happened. Well, it turns out that Maggie flipped the switch that controls her feelings towards Glenn because she wants to have sex with him now. Oh shit, I shouldn't have told him to decide on a location, and I also shouldn't have waited until after I was nowhere near him to read his response, because it turns out the barn is filled with zombies. Ah, snap. Something new got established that affects the rest of the series. Ah, yeah. It's a good thing that cliffhangers are part of the formula, or else absolutely nothing would have happened at all. Next up is episode 6, titled Secrets. Yeah, I can tell this one's gonna be absolutely riveting. The episode starts off with Patricia sneaking away so that she can break some chicken's legs. Oh, I get it. She's gotta feed the zombies. Doesn't really seem necessary to break its legs in the first place, I guess, but okay. Glenn rightfully asks for an explanation about the barn full of walkers, and she's like, ha ha ha, I'm not gonna tell you. Really, all you had to say is, my dad doesn't believe in killing people, so this is how we do it. What is the point in keeping that from him? Carl asks Shane if he'll teach him how to use a gun, and he says, go ask your parents, but then he's like, what the fuck, you have a gun right now. Apparently, Lori's doing such a shit job of looking after her own kid that Carl can steal a gun.
That episode is about Carl very quickly having to become a man.
Rick's busy trying to organize people to look for Sophia. What are you doing? Like, seriously, you even stayed back and got Glenn to go to the pharmacy for you, and you're just totally okay with letting your kid out of your sights after the only other kid in the entire group went missing. Not to mention Carl was shot like, what, 3 days ago? You're not worried about the fact that he lost a lot of blood? Like, he even had a seizure? Whatever, why should we expect Lori to acknowledge her son's recent near-fatal injury? It's not like the show does. Like, seriously, he's showing no trace of the incident at all. Whatever, Rick thinks that it's an okay time for him to learn how to shoot now. They decide that a bunch of them are gonna have a shooting lesson field trip, yay!
Rick realizes that everybody has to be able to shoot guns.
I mean, I guess that it makes enough sense that they would want everybody in their group to be trained to know how to use guns. But when did we stop becoming concerned about ammo? It really does not seem like anybody gives a fuck right now. Meanwhile, Glenn spills the beans to Dale.
There's walkers in the barn and Lori's pregnant.
So Dale decides to politely confront Herschel about it.
Saw the irrational fear, the atrocities. Like the incident at my well. We put down a walker. Killed a person.
Wait, what the fuck are you talking about? They tried to get it out of the well alive. Yeah, I guess they still killed it, but that was also after he accidentally got ripped in half. What, so if you were there and that walker accidentally got ripped in half, you would be like, well, we can just put him in the barn now. Wouldn't want to kill him. Despite his horrible example, he doubles down that it's wrong to kill them.
Paranoid schizophrenic is dangerous too. We don't shoot sick people.
So he's like an extreme case of dangerous liberalism. Everyone leaves shooting practice, but Andrea stays to train with Shane because she was so good at it. So Lori confronts Rick now. Apparently she found out that Herschel doesn't want the group to be staying permanently.
I don't understand how you could keep something like this from me.
Yeah, how could you keep that from me? Not like a fucking pregnancy. Also, where the fuck is Carl?
This season, Lori just closes ranks around her family.
Apparently part of Shane's training is bringing up your dead sister.
That's the walker that got Amy. Now you shoot that son of a bitch. Shoot him!
So now Andrea's pissed. He tries his best to get her to come back in the car and stop being so pouty.
I tell you what, got a lead on Sophia. Go check it out. She come with me. Be my backup.
She's not that stupid, is she? If someone said that to me and I knew that they were trying to get me back into the vehicle anyway, my first question would be, where did you get this lead? Was it a super secret lead that no one was allowed to talk about until after target practice? Did finding Sophia suddenly become so little of a priority that you could all dick around doing target practice beforehand? You're not gonna describe what this so-called lead is? At what point did you get this lead? Who gave it to you and when? I am being forced to assume that Shane is lying right now, and that somehow she is too stupid to notice. Okay, so now they're in some random suburban neighborhood. Who's cutting the grass? It's a zombie apocalypse and all the grass is cut. Shane explains that they're going to search each house to look for her. So what, is this only a lead because there's housing here? When did you find out about this neighborhood? And also, were you planning on going by yourself? Because it seems like you invited Andrea at the last second. Like your plan was just to go back to the farm and not even check this place out. I mean, if it wasn't really high on your list of priorities to begin with, then you don't think that you should have gotten some flashlights first? Anyway, they search through the houses and find nothing. But apparently they didn't search every house because all these zombies are coming at them at once now. Yep, instant surrounded by zombies. Whatever, it's just more target practice. Andrea seems to be unable to hit her targets because they're moving. So Shane lowers his weapon in an attempt to force her to get better at shooting. And somehow this puts her in the right mindset to be able to actually start hitting moving targets.
Andrea almost enters like a fugue state where she doesn't even think anymore.
So if Shane was lying about having a lead, does that mean that this was just a ploy to get Andrea some proper training? Is he the Mr. Miyagi of guns? They make it out without a scratch and suddenly Andrea feels super empowered. Oh, weird. Is this gonna become a thing now? I mean, it's not like two characters would start a sexual relationship like that only for it to be completely forgotten about except for one quick sentence in the next episode, right? Right. Later, they get back to the farm and Carol's like,
Anything?
Not today.
I'm so sorry. We'll cover more ground tomorrow.
wait, you knew that they went? So were you the one that gave them the lead? And was that before everybody went to target practice? Or did you and Rick magically discover a lead on the way to target practice and just not tell anybody? And then decide that Andrea's personal gun training was more of a priority than finding a missing child? I scanned the episode one more time just to be sure and found that they mentioned the neighborhood very briefly at the beginning of the episode.
Take a run up there after gun practice. I'll hold down the fort here, but take backup.
But holy shit, did they make it confusing still? Like, why would no one tell Andrea that she's about to go searching for Sophia in a possibly zombie-infested neighborhood? At first I thought maybe Shane was just being a dick, but it turns out it was Rick's idea to keep her extra and he didn't say a goddamn thing.
Say she's ready for the advanced class. Might be worth your while after the rest of us head back to camp.
Sure, why not?
You don't think that would have been an important thing to mention? What if she said no while you were already back at the camp? Oh, sorry, we could have spent at least a little bit of time looking for your daughter today, but instead we shot some bottles and cans. Why does every scene involving zombie danger seem so rushed and out of place? Could it be that these scenes were simply thrown in as an excuse for the characters to be in danger? Because keeping your entire cast on a fenced-in and guarded farm the entire season kind of ruins any chance for legitimate danger? Excuse us while we quickly exit the scene so that you two can have a one-on-one argument with each other. Dale pretty much knows everything that the viewer knows at this point, so he calls Shane out on being a bad person.
See, I'm the kind of man gun down his own best friend. What'd you think I'd do to some guy that I don't even like?
Shit. Lori asks Glenn to go to the pharmacy for her again, and without even asking Maggie to come along, she decides she's gonna pout next to him the whole time. She finally opens her mouth and says that she shares the same opinions on walkers as her father.
If you had seen Atlanta, you would not have a barn full of walkers.
I wish you'd stop calling them that.
They get inside the pharmacy to look for Lori's drugs, and literally out of fucking nowhere, bam, instant zombie time. Where'd it come from? Who knows? How come you didn't hear anything? Who cares? You guys were completely silent for long enough of a time to be able to hear the zombie before getting that close to it, and you made enough noise beforehand that the zombie theoretically should have tried to attack you already. So either it's another super secret smart zombie, or it was just sleeping standing up. Reasonable excuses for conflict. How about whenever we want them to get attacked by a zombie, we just spawn one like right next to them? It's like the show has a built-in anti-camping feature. Anyway, Glenn saves her ass, and when they get back, Maggie starts spazzing out for fucking no reason.
Special delivery right here. We got your lotion, got your conditioner, and here's your abortion pills.
Probably should have picked up some Xanax too.
That was not cool. Which part? The part where that bitch almost got us killed?
Seriously, you're blaming her? You were not even invited to go. Oh, I see. What? God damn it. So now she starts using the word walker in her dialogue.
Your walker, mate. I can't take you becoming one of them.
So I'm forced to assume that she's had some kind of an epiphany, like all it took for you was just for one of them to try and kill you before you realize, oh yeah, these aren't really people anymore. So what, do you think there's chains on the barn just for fun? Were you not already aware that these things want to eat people? Time for me to leave really angry again. So now Lori has her abortion pills, and Glenn implicitly tells her to tell Rick about it before making a decision. But alas, this is a female cast member on The Walking Dead, so she is not going to consider it. She swallows a bunch of pills and then changes her mind in 5 fucking seconds. Maybe you should think about what you're doing before you do it.
She does it with less and less regard for the specifics of each decision.
She purges the pills back up and then decides to cry by herself. Later, Rick finds the packaging and puts 2 and 2 together because he's not that dumb.
You tear into me for keeping secrets when you're holding on to this!
And at the end of the episode, she finally admits that Shane boned her. Episode 7 starts and it's the mid-season finale. And you know what? I like to think that I give credit where credit is due. So even though it is kind of really stupid still, I can't deny that there are a few good scenes in this episode. And thank God things are actually starting to move along. Glenn has become about as patient as the viewers are at this point, so he decides to tell people about the barn.
Barn's full of walkers.
Oh my god, is this a scene where characters are arguing, but there's more than just 2 of them? The Walking Dead breaking new ground, going where season 2 has never gone before. Overall, I think this pre-opening title sequence scene is pretty well done. I mean, at least now their arguments have some weight to them. The cat's out of the bag now, and something's gotta give regardless of the outcome. Even just that small sense of urgency can add so much to a scene. Like at this point, their arguments actually matter, rather than implying the possibility of nothing happening and just being mildly irritated at each other until the end of time. Don't get me wrong, this episode is still kind of annoying at parts. Like, Maggie, you need to stop your passive-aggressive bullshit right now. Yay, it's like we're on a sitcom, haha. And the majority of it does revert back to the old only 2 people allowed in each conversation thing. But at least the conversations finally have some weight to them, even if parts of it still don't really make any sense. Rick tries to convince Herschel that the zombies should not be treated with the same respect as human beings.
You've been shielded from what's been going on out there.
Oh god, not this logic again. What, so his mind would be changed if only he saw that they were dangerous? I really don't understand that logic, and it's not something that's just being adopted by the characters. It's like the show itself thinks that that's a logical conclusion to make. Everybody just accepts it as if like, yeah, that's totally how people work. They just don't want to kill the zombies because they haven't seen how much of a threat they can be. So then why did they lock them in the barn? Every single character is just like, oh no, if you could only see that they actually want to kill you, as if to imply that they don't already know that? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Meanwhile, Maggie changes her mood from angry to horny again. She tries to convince her father to let the group stay.
You saved my life yesterday when one of the people you think is sick tried to kill me. How's that for dramatic? Things aren't what you think they are. They aren't.
Well, there you have it. That's definitively how the show expects people to work. I used to think that we shouldn't kill them until I realized that they want to kill me. How it took me that long for me to realize that they wanted to kill me, I don't know. So Herschel invites Rick to go wrangle some of them up. And from that we can tell that the zombies are too stupid to try and break the device that is keeping them restrained. Their mind can only process that there's food in front of them and that they should eat it. So that pretty much rules out the likelihood of there being super secret smart zombies that wait for people to come close until they attack. Dale foreseeing Shane's intentions to kill all the walkers in the barn, takes all of the guns and tries to bury them in a remote location. But uh-oh, Shane tracked him down. And this is another scene that I actually like. It's not just a stupid argument to fill up time. It's a confrontation where the outcome actually fucking matters. Not only do Shane's threats feel very real at this point, but he's making threats to like the only relatable character in the entire cast.
Before the show, we had John and Felicia go to AMC's Walking Dead website to take the Which Character Are You quiz. According to our results, Felicia Day, you are Dale. Yeah. You are actually a Dale. 2 Dales. I'm just gonna take a guess. I'm probably a Rick. What did I'm a Dale.
Dale winds up forfeiting all the guns to Shane, and Shane rounds up everybody to go storm the barn. But oh shit, Rick's coming back at the same time. What the hell, Herschel? Why are you letting that zombie so close to him? All I would have to do to kill him is just notice him. If this is how you've been doing it this whole time, then this was just an accident waiting to happen. Shane decides to aggressively show Herschel that no, they are not in fact people.
A living, breathing person. Did they walk away from this? No!
And after killing the one zombie, he starts to storm the barn.
Herschel! Herschel, take the stand for! Herschel! Listen to me, man, please! Take it now! Herschel! Take it!
Why don't you just give the zombie to somebody else? Like that guy right behind you. Just because the script's forgotten about him does not mean that he's not there. Why does it have to be Herschel? You're implying you would stop Shane if you could let go of the zombie. Just give it to that guy, right there. I honestly think that the script forgot that he existed. For Christ's sake, that guy's gotten less lines and screen time than Patricia. But she totally does not need any more screen time, please. Every time she tries to act, it's fucking horrendous. Really, that's your reaction to the zombie getting shot in front of Herschel? You're at your husband's funeral and it seems like you're about to burst into laughter. And it doesn't really seem intentional. Anyway, the door eventually gives and now everybody has to deal with all these walkers. That gun training really shows. You know, I'm kind of disappointed that Shane had to storm the barn before they put the other zombies in, because I'm genuinely curious as to how they would have done it. Apparently, Herschel's been doing it this whole time. Does he just open the door really fast and then kick the zombie in? Even if you had live bait distracting them at the other side of the barn, it's difficult to see how you would have pulled this off without them noticing you. Do you force them up the ladder to the hayloft and then drop them down? So after the entire barn is cleared out and all walkers have been killed, one final zombie emerges for dramatic effect. She was in the barn the whole fucking time, god damn it. Somebody here was an asshole for not saying anything. I'm looking at you, Patricia.
With Sophia, we wanted there to be this great moment where when she steps out of the barn, you're not sure if she's alive or not, because the makeup was subtle enough that it kind of looked a little bit like maybe she was okay.
What? But seriously, holy shit, do they sacrifice a lot of logic for the sake of dramatic effect? I mean, it's cool that she comes out last so that you can have this sad music and have all the characters react one at a time really slowly. But why did she let all the other zombies through the doorway ahead of her? Is she Canadian?
So on behalf of concerned Canadians everywhere, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs, is he working with his American counterparts to develop an international zombie strategy so that a zombie invasion does not turn into a zombie apocalypse?
And why are you moving so slowly? All the other zombies came out a lot faster. I know, dramatic effect, but it honestly seems a bit awkward to me.
What felt natural for me was to go faster because food was like coming at me.
Slow, Madison, nice and slow.
But they were telling me to go like really slow, and it was hard for me to go really, really slow. But I bet it'll look good on camera.
Getting old. No more. Come on, stop it. You're like a dope fiend. Cluck went the chicken.